Hello, Times Square. As you know, most yoga classes cost around $20. Since the class you are about to take is free, please consider making a donation to Community First, a local initiative where community navigators build relationships to help vulnerable people in Times Square get the resources and support they need. You can donate right now by going to tsq.org and make a difference in the world today. In 2015, the United Nations General Assembly declared June 21st the International Day of Yoga. Times Square is New York City's leading official public site for the International Day of Yoga, in part because of the Times Square Alliance's 21-year tradition of hosting this Solstice yoga event here at the crossroads of the world. Later today, we will be joined by a dignitary from the Indian Consulate of New York. All right, so back on in 5 minutes.
And then, yeah, if we have to put that on another mic for like Douglas, this one's easier to take on and off. But it doesn't matter. We'll have to switch both. We'll figure it out.
Welcome to the 21st annual Solstice in Times Square Mind Over Madness Yoga. Be sure to visit our sponsor tents in the Yoga Village on Broadway between 44th and 45th Streets right after class for a showcase of snacks and other offers from our partners. This class is being streamed on Facebook Live and Twitter at Times Square NYC, so text your friends to watch and check your feed later today as well. And now, please welcome Times Square Alliance President Tom Harris, along with event co-founder Douglass Stewart.
Hey. Thank you very much, Joe. Good morning, Times Square. Welcome to the 21st annual Yoga in Times Square Mind Over Madness. This started as a dream 21 years ago with 3 people practicing yoga in Times Square. 2 of them are here today. Douglas, Tim Tompkins, former president of the Times Square Alliance, is hiding in the back. So thank you very much, Tim and Douglas, for bringing yoga to Times Square. So when this event started 21 years ago, the Times ran a story saying that if you're lying down in Times Square at sunset, you are either drunk, homeless, or dead. And we have proven them wrong. Each year, people come to practice yoga in Times Square. Today, over 8,000 people are registered for this class, and we are proving that we can make the impossible possible if we have a vision, we have a dream, and we just stick to it. So, without further ado, I just want to thank a couple of people for making this event possible. This is the longest day of the year, and if you have any doubt about it being the longest day of the year, just ask an Alliance staff member who worked tirelessly to make this event happen today and will be here well into the night. I also want to thank the City of New York, Mayor Adams, for all of his support in helping bring back Times Square. We're regularly seeing over 300,000 people a day. And while you're here today practicing yoga, we would love it if you would come back, patronize one of our businesses, go see a play, and just enjoy what 60 million tourists love about this city, Times Square. So I'm going to turn you over to Douglas.
Thank you, Tom. Well, happy summer solstice, everybody. Good to see you. Come on, son. We are celebrating your arrival and length today. Eventually, I hope the sky will turn pink. It's so good to see you all. Thank you for coming to support Summer Solstice Yoga in Times Square. And I've been talking to some of you that have been around for years and years. When Tim and I started this back in 2003, our intention really was to just open up the offices, come into the middle of the square, do some breathing, and communicate with, hi Lori, good to see you, Laura, and then just go back to work feeling good and to let that joy and the peace and the restoration from breathing together continue to reverberate or to resonate through the rest of the day, through the rest of our lives. And apparently it has continued. You continue to return year after year, and we all continue to resonate love and peace and care for the planet and for each other, continuing to share kindness and love with one another through this science and art and discipline. So thank you. It's good to see you all. Let's begin our practice. Carla is assisting me. Let me just introduce my demonstrators. Carla will join me here on the box. And on the island there are Kathy, Lily, and Celine. Hi, you guys, over there. Yay. Yay, yay, yay. And on the other island is Tracy. Hi, Tracy. She's over there. So everybody's here. So let's start our practice, everybody, by standing upright. Let's begin just stepping your feet apart from one another so that your toes are directed forward. Your heels just fall right underneath your sitting bones. And unlock your knees a little bit. The tendency is to sort of lock and resist our connection to the ground. But just unlock your knees a little bit. And take a look around you. Just see as if you've never seen before this. Maybe some of you have, maybe some of you haven't. But just see, even up and around, see where you've landed, where you've brought yourself. Lots of distractions, lots of attractions even. And over the course of the practice, as we move with breath and in attention, we begin to understand that all of these things, which we're used to experiencing, the noise, the lights, our own inner turmoil, begins to soften and ease an inner stillness, an inner quiet. Be aware of the ground underneath you. Just be aware of the ground under your feet. Take a breath in, everybody. Your arms float out and up. And as you let the breath out, your arms just kind of follow down. They just follow down, and they arrive at your heart. And then you're compelled to breathe in again. And you take in the light, and you take in the air, and you take in the ground. And when you're breathing out, you just let go of all of the things that have brought you here, that have served to this point. Take 3 or 4 on your own. I won't call the breaths. Just breathe. Your rhythm may be different than your neighbor's, or mine, or Carla's, or Tracy's, or Celine's, or Kathy's. We're just a community of breath. These last 2, just celebrate something. Celebrate. This last one, be grateful for something. Here, everybody, as we arrive at the very final one, will you organize your hands so that they're just in front of your navel? But let your palms just draw back against the backs of your hands, and the tips of your fingers meet the opposite tips of the fingers equally. Hakini Mudra. Unlock your knees. And the energy that we generated from the sun breaths, from the complete breaths, now funneled and channeled into purpose. Breathe in, your hands flow down and out and up. This time, as you breathe out, will you fold forward over your legs? Forward folding. On the in-breath, stretch your torso forward, but feel the ground under your feet. And as you're breathing out, float down over your legs. Release your neck. Hello, ground. Hello, feet. Relax your feet into the ground to come up to standing, but see your feet for a while as we ascend upward. Your arms can float out. Reach to the sky. Reach up. Stretch through the clouds. And as you're breathing out, your arms open to the side and they return to your heart. Breathe in, your hands flow down and out and up. Breathe out, float down over your legs. Breathe in, torso forward. Breathe out, float down over your legs. Relax your feet into the ground to come up to stand. Ascending upright. Reach into the earth with your legs and feet. Stretch through the clouds with your torso and arms. And when you're ready to breathe out, your arms float down and they return to your heart. Let's do one more. I'll just call the breaths with less instruction. Hi. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in to stand. Here, everybody, will you just bring your fingertips onto your elbows and draw your elbows up towards the sky, but let your rib cage knit right towards your hips or towards the earth. Unlock your knees, and let's stretch over to the west. I see you figuring it out. Which way is that? It's this way. I think. Are you breathing? Make sure you're standing on your left foot as well as the right foot. Look up towards your raised arm. Look towards the sun. Rotate your sternum just slightly towards the sky. As you breathe in, free your arms to the west and then come upright. Let the in-breath float us up. Yay. And as you're breathing out, float down. Torso forward as you're breathing in. It's Ardha Uttanasana. And as you're breathing out, float down over your legs. Reach into the earth with your feet to come up to standing. Your arms can float out. It's a gradual ascension. And now maybe the other arm is in front as you take hold of your elbows with your hands, with your fingers. The elbows lift upward through the clouds. The ribs knit towards the earth. Use those actions to stretch over to the east. Beautiful. Let your breath flow. Open up that right side of your body. Look up beyond your raised arm. Rotate your sternum a little bit more towards the sky if you can without aggravation. Release your arms on the in-breath to come upright. And as you're breathing out, float down over your legs. Torso forward as you're breathing in. And when you're breathing out, float down over your legs. Rise to stand as you're breathing in. This time, let your hands just sort of float down along the sides of your body and fit your hands onto your buttocks, fingers up or down. Your shoulder blades can come towards one another. Maybe your arms are a little bit more parallel. Just allow the pelvis or the pubic bone and tailbone to reach down towards the earth so that as you open your sternum forward and up, you're just opening to the sun, or to the clouds in this case. But nevertheless, opening the front body to possibility, just opening heart, throat, brow. Take a breath in. Your head reaches into the back space. Come upright and float down. We'll play ragdoll. Bend your knees a lot here, everybody, so that your belly's against your thigh bones. Hang onto your elbows with your hands and just let your head dangle down. We'll hold for about 4 breaths or so. Change so that the other arm is in front. Wonderful. Your hands drop down onto the ground so that we come right onto hands and knees, cat-cow. Aren't these wonderful mats? As you're breathing in, just lift your sternum slightly upward and your chin and your eyes and let your tailbone float up. And as you're breathing out, lay the tops of your feet against the mat so that as you press into the earth, your spine rounds against the sky. You feel that stretch in the rhomboids and lumbar. On the in-breath, your spine arches, the sternum floats up, chin and eyes lift upward, tailbone. And when you're breathing out, lay the tops of your feet against the ground and round your spine into the sky. Let's breathe like this, 3 rounds. In, out, in, out, in. If you're able to, without aggravation, will you walk your knees away from one another towards your mat's edges and bring your big toes to touch each other. They just sort of kiss. And then sit back into the backspace or into the space between your heels so that your elbows drape down onto the mat and you lay your forehead right onto the ground. Did you ever think that you would be like pronate in Times Square like this? Huh? I don't know. Well, maybe you have. I don't know. I'm not trying to be nosy or anything. Just wondering. It's homage to the ground, to the earth. And lately it's needing our attention and care. And the same kind of attention and care that we're giving to our physical bodies and to our minds, we can extend to the earth, to the planet, to nature, as we help to restore and replenish. We are gardeners, after all. Come onto hands and knees, everybody. Your shoulders are right underneath your shoulders are over your hands and your knees are under your hips. Will you balance your ribs so that they're neither cat nor cow? The ribs are balanced. Maybe the upper arms can rotate out a little bit, the lower arms can rotate in. And as you've balanced the rib cage from poking in towards the earth or towards the sky, just release your right arm forward ahead of your right shoulder and let your left leg extend into the backspace. It's pointer pose. And you'll notice that it requires your concentration to balance like this and to play the coordinates that I offered. It requires your concentration. It requires that you be here. Touch down. Recommit to the core of your body by balancing the rib cage. Neither cat nor cow, but right in the middle. And once you've got yourself stable, then release your left arm forward and the right leg extends into the backspace. And here you are, balancing. Times Square, 2023. Recommitted to your practice. Beautiful. Touch down. Sternum floats forward and up. I call this up cat. And as you're breathing out, let's take downward dog. Your sitting bones fit into that back space, into the upper back space. Your hands are firm against the earth, and so are your feet. And your toes are separate from one another. And you've come into this V shape, upside down V shape. And your tailbone is pointing right towards the sun or towards Harlem. And you can take a breath in here. Take a full breath in. Let your lungs fill with breath from the bottom to the top. And as you're breathing out, the lungs can empty from the top to the bottom. Come onto hands and knees. Walk your knees away from one another one more time. Big toes touch. Sit back into that space between your heels. Your elbows have draped onto the ground. Your forehead lands on your mat. We'll hold for 4 breaths. It's Balasana. Take a fuller breath in, feeling how all of the bones of your torso just sort of float apart as you're breathing in. And when you're breathing out, you notice how all those bones just sort of return to their start. Come onto hands and knees, everybody. Stepping forward now so that your heels align with your sitting bones. Your toes are forward once again, folding over your legs, so that as you're breathing in, the torso reaches forward, Ardha Uttanasana, and as you're breathing out, float down over your legs. Reach into the earth with your feet to come up to stand once again. Your hands can flow out. You see above you. Let's hold here 4 breaths. Utthita Hastasana. Balance your ribs, neither cat nor cow. Unlock your knees. Grow taller. Grow taller. Let's grow so that we're taller than the buildings around us. Reach beyond them. Reach into the ground with your legs and feet. Reach. The next time you breathe out, your hands float down and they come to your heart. Breathe in, your hands flow down and out and up. Breathe out, floating over your legs. Torso forward as you're breathing in. Let's step into plank pose. Your shoulders are right over your hands. Let's hold plank for a moment. Balance your ribs. Balance your rib cage, neither cat nor cow. Bring your knees down onto the mat and lower to your belly. Slip your hands just to the outside of your ribs. Draw your hip bones forward towards the front edge of your mat so that your sternum releases forward and up and your ribs have cleared the ground. Nice. Your elbows reach into the back space. Perch onto your fingertips if you can. Beautiful. Lift your hands away from the ground if you can. I know. Lower down. Press onto hands and knees. Sit back into your heels. We'll hold for a moment. All right, that's enough. Hands and knees. You thought you were going to rest there. Let's take downward dog. Look forward as you're breathing in. And as you breathe out, stroll forward so that your heels align with your sitting bones. Your toes are forward, folding over your legs. Come to stand as you're breathing in, rising all the way up. And as you're breathing out, your hands float down to your heart. Unlock. Breathe in, your hands flow down and out and up. Breathe out, floating over your legs. Breathe in, torso forward. Step into plank pose as you're breathing out. Hold plank for a moment to organize your ribs. Knees touch down, lower to your belly. Slip your hands just to the outside of your ribs. Draw the hip bones forward against the mat. Your sternum floats forward and up. It's low cobra, Bhujangasana. Let's come higher. Lengthen your elbows. It's high cobra. Now make space between your shoulders and your jaw. Maybe lift your knees away from the ground for up dog. Knees touch down, pass through tabletop to come to downward dog. We'll hold for 2. Look forward so that as you're breathing out, your heels come, or you're walking forward, folding over your legs. On the in-breath, torso forward. Float down over your legs as you're breathing out. Rise to stand. It's funny, we're doing sun salutations, and look, did you see that little pink? And as you're breathing out, bring your hands out. I knew it would work. Breathe in, your hands flow down and out and up. Breathe out, float down over your legs. Torso forward as you're breathing in. Step into plank as you're breathing out. Knees touch down, lower to your belly. Low cobra, stay if you need. High cobra if you'd like. Up dog maybe, the knees have cleared. Shoulders back. Knees touch down, pass through tabletop, downward dog. We'll hold down dog for 6 breaths now. Look forward so that as you're breathing out, you can walk forward, your feet touching now, if possible, folding over your legs, torso forward on the in. And as you're breathing out, float down over your legs. Come to standing, palms touching above you. And as you breathe out, grow taller as you bring your thumbs to your sternum, or your thumbs to the heart center, Anahata chakra. Hold here, everybody. Just sense that you're breathing and the energy is collecting right around the space where your thumbs have landed. Breathe in, your hands float down and out and up. Breathing out, float over your legs. Torso forward on the in. Float down over your legs as you're breathing out. Now holding the legs together with your hands if you need to, or with the legs themselves, each leg held to the other or pressed to either the other. As you sit deep in your imagined chair, the sitting bones reach into the back space. Lift your torso off of the thigh bones. Balance your ribs, neither cat nor cow. Keep your hands on your thigh bones if you need the support for Utkatasana. Otherwise, maybe your hands float parallel to the earth. If you'd like, maybe your fingers float diagonally away from your sitting bones. And as you balance your rib cage, we've come into Utkatasana for 82,000 breaths. It's great to see you smiling. Come upright, everybody. Pierce through the ceiling with your fingers. Lengthen up and reach down. And as you're breathing out, bring your hands to your heart. 2 breaths. What have we done? What have we done? Breathe in, your hands flow down and out and up. Breathe out, float down over your legs. Torso forward as you're breathing in. And as you're breathing out, float down over your legs. Bend your knees, we're coming back to chair pose. Bring your hands onto your thigh bones, lengthen your spine. Let's all rotate to the east. That's this way. There you go. Maybe your, in this case, the right elbow can slip to the outside of the left leg. Your palms can come to prayer. Those of you that are needing more support, your right hand can come down, or your free hand can come just in front of your feet as the back hand comes onto the pelvis or the sacral bones as you rotate to the east side for 2 breaths. Step into plank. Knees touch down, lower to your belly. Low cobra, high cobra, up dog. Knees touch down, downward dog. I'm impressed that you guys know east and west. Look forward as you're breathing in. And as you're breathing out, bend your knees. If you want to hop forward with your feet touching, that's fine, or walk forward, folding over your legs. On the in-breath, rise to standing, palms touching. And as you're breathing out, bring your hands to your heart. Breathing in, your hands flow down and out and up. Breathe out, floating down over your legs. Torso forward. Now as you bend your knees, hold the legs to each other with your hands if you need to, or the legs can press to each other without your hands. Lengthen your spine is parallel to the ground. And now rotate to the west. Maybe your front hand comes down in front of in this case it's the left hand in front of your feet, while the right hand can come onto your pelvis as you rotate to the west. Or maybe the left elbow slips to the outside of your right leg as your palms come to prayer. We'll hold for 2 breaths. It's Pavrita Utkatasana. Yes, I see some of you have extended your arms. That's great. More challenging. Touch down, everybody. Come into plank pose. Let's hold plank, 4 breaths. Balance your ribs. Release your neck forward. Let's hold for another 3 breaths here if you can. Unlock your knees. Knees touch down, lower to your belly. Slip your hands now just to the outside of your legs, so that as your hip bones draw forward, your sternum releases forward and up, your shoulders can clear or reach into the back space. And as your legs reach back and up, we've arrived into Shalabhasana, and we'll hold for 4 or 5 breaths here. Beautiful. That's it. Your toes reach into the back space, your heart reaches to the forward and up space. Beautiful. On the next in-breath, everybody, lift higher. Wow. As you're breathing out, lower down. Press onto hands and knees. Let's pause. Sit back on your heels. Child's pose. If this aggravates your knees, anybody, if this aggravates your knees at all, you can flip onto your back. You can flip onto your back and hug your knees to your torso. Yeah, there you go. If it hurts your knees, you can flip onto your back. We'll hold for another 4 breaths or so. Balasana or Apanasana. Return to hands and knees. Step your right foot forward and extend your left leg into the back space. Flip that left foot flush onto the mat. Come upright. Lift your toes from the ground and then resettle your toes on the mat. Reorganize your front knee right over the heel. Pivot your shoulders so that they're more parallel to your front space or to the front edge of your mat. Float your hands out and up. It's Warrior One. Feel the ground under you. Just commit to the ground. And once you've committed to the ground, you can grow. the torso can extend and your arms can reach through the ceiling, through the clouds. Step into plank. Shift your body's weight onto your left hand and bring the left knee down onto the mat and open your torso to the side. Side plank, supported. Those of you that are strong here can step the left foot back so that your right hand reaches to the sky. We'll hold for 3 breaths. Step to plank. Lower to your belly. Low cobra, high cobra, up dog. Into downward dog. Come to hands and knees. Step your left foot forward and stretch the right leg into the back space. Flip that left foot on the mat. Come upright. The left knee over the left heel. The back foot flush against the ground. Pivoting your shoulders more parallel to the front edge of your mat. Let your legs relax into the earth so that you can float your arms up. We'll hold for 4 breaths. Continue to hone the pose as the left knee stays right over the left heel. You're balancing the ribs. You've committed to the earth. You're piercing through the sky, through the clouds. Touch down, everybody. Your hands. Step into plank pose. Shift your weight to your right hand. Bring the right knee down. Open your torso to the side. Balance here if you need inside plank pose, looking down towards the supporting hand. Make sure your shoulder is right over the supporting hand. The right foot can meet the left foot if you're able to or if you're strong. And your left hand can reach through the clouds. We'll hold for 3 breaths. Side plank pose. Step down, everybody. Knees touch down, lower to your belly. Low cobra, high cobra, up dog. Downward facing dog. Take your right toes back and up. 3-leg dog here. As your right toes just reach right through the clouds, right up towards the sun. Balance your weight on both of your hands. Look forward. And as you're breathing out, step your right foot forward to the inside of the right hand. Flip that left foot onto the ground. Your right hand comes onto the right thigh bone as your left hand reaches forward and then up. And we open out to the side, east side, as your left back hand reaches into the back space. The front hand floats right over your right thigh bone. Warrior 2. Now let your shoulders relax down. Balance your ribs. Let your gaze fall onto one point. Make sure that your knee is right over the second toe. We'll hold for another breath. Reverse warrior. The back hand comes onto the back shin bone or calf. The front hand reaches up beyond the buildings, and then you reach into that back space. And now let breath move the front side of your body, the right side of your ribs. That's it. Step down. Come into plank. Knees touch down, lower to your belly. low cobra, high cobra, up dog, into downward facing dog. Take your left toes back and up. Step your left foot through to the inside of your left hand. Flip that right foot onto the mat. Your left hand on the left knee or thigh bone. Your right hand reaches forward and then up and then back into the back space. The left hand floats over the left thigh bone. Will you lift your toes this round and then place them on the ground? Soften the back hip. Balance your ribs, neither cat nor cow, and let your gaze focus right over your left hand. Get your bearings. See where you are. Reverse warrior. The right hand comes onto the right shin bone or calf. The left hand floats up and away from the front space. Cartwheel down, left hand, right hand. Step into plank. Knees touch down, lower to your belly. Are you able to take hold of both of your ankles with your hands as your forehead lands on the mat? You might need to rock to one side to get one ankle first, and then rock to the other side to get the other ankle next. We'll hold here, this preparation for bow, for about 4 or 5 breaths. Your forehead's right on the ground. It's a stretch of the quadriceps. We haven't come quite to bow yet. We'll build there. We haven't come to Urdhva Mukha Dhanurasana quite yet. Your forehead's right on the ground. That's it. It's just a preparation to see if you're able to come to the next part. If you have no back issues or conditions that would warrant this pose being challenging or aggravating, then pressure your shin bones into the back space, and that will lift your thigh bones and your torso from the mat as we come into bow pose for 3 breaths. Beautiful. Nice. Lower down. Press the hands and knees. If you would like, walk your knees away from one another once more. Big toes touch. Sit back into that back space, or sit back into the space between your heels as your elbows drape down onto the mat. Your forehead touches the ground. Come upright, everybody. Gather your legs. Come onto hands and knees. Take downward dog. Look forward. And as you're breathing out, walk forward, feet touching, folding over your legs. Sweep to stand. To your heart. With your hands on your hips, shift your weight to your left foot. Take hold of your right ankle with your right hand. Your right hand is to the inside of the right foot or ankle. Balance the pelvis, balance the ribs. Stay here if you need, or begin to pressure the right shin bone into the back space and let your sternum float forward and up. And your left hand can reach forward and up. There you go. Natarajasana. Touch down, Breathe in. Breathe out. Folding. Breathe in, torso forward. Breathe out, float down over your legs. Sweep to stand. Palms touching. And as you're breathing out, bring your hands to your heart. With your hands on your hips, shift your weight to your right foot. Bring your left ankle into your left palm. The left palm faces outward. Stay here if you need. Or begin to move the left shin bone into the back space. The sternum can reach forward, and the right hand can float forward and up. It's dancer pose. Return to Tadasana. Breathe in, your hands flow out and up. Stay here as you're breathing out. Feel the pubic bone and tailbone root towards the earth so that as you grow from those roots, your torso extends forward and up and your heart is exposed to the sky. And you're looking right beyond your hands into the backspace or into the clouds. You feel your feet in the earth and your shoulder blades hug your back. For 2 breaths. Come upright. Float down over your legs, breathing out. Torso forward. Step onto hands and knees. Come onto your back. Let's play the figure 4. So you're on your back, everybody, and you'll just bring your right ankle onto the left thigh bone. Little hip opening. Thread your right hand between both thigh bones so that your fingers can or your hands, both of your hands can come to the left thigh bone and you can flex both of your feet. Step down, let's change. So now it's your right ankle that comes onto the the left ankle that comes onto the right thigh bone, flexing the top foot. Thread your left hand between the thigh bones so that both of your hands come to the back of the right thigh bone. Flex both of your feet. Thank you. 15. Thank you. Step down. Now lift your hips away from the mat a little bit and float your hips over to the right side of your mat. Just move them in that direction and roll onto the left side of your body. Just roll onto the left side so that you can hold your knees together with your left hand. Bring your head down onto the ground in line with your spine. Bring your right hand onto your ribs, to the right ribs, and gradually let that right shoulder float open and down to the ground to the right side. Keep your right hand on the right rib cage, just to be safe here. And when you feel yourself stable enough and free enough, you might be able to extend that right hand to the right or to the west. That's it. There you go. And you can look in that direction. If this aggravates your spine at all, keep the right hand on your ribs. Hi, Carla. To come out of the rotation, step your right foot on the mat first, and then your left foot comes on next. Slide your hips over to the left edge of your mat. Roll to the right side. Hold your knees together with your right hand, your left hand on the left ribs, and gradually let the left shoulder float open and down. You might need your backpack or shoe or towel or blanket if you brought it to place it right underneath that left shoulder for support. Keeping your left hand on the ribs just for safety's sake, less leverage there. Those of you that have that left shoulder against the ground can release the left arm fully as you look to the left. You're just taking care of yourself. To come out of the pose, step your left foot on the mat first, and then your right foot comes on. Slide your hips to the middle, and hug your legs toward your torso. Send your legs into the air. Step your feet down onto the mat. With the soles of your feet touching, let your knees wing open. You might need your shoes underneath your knees or thigh bones, or some prop. I should mention that our demonstrators, or the demonstrators for this class, my class today, are from the Ishta Center. There's Tracy, that's north. There's Celine and Kathy Lilly, that's south. They're from the Ishta Center. Will you cross your arms over your torso, everyone, and just let your fingers drip down to the outside of your ribs? That's it. Change so that the other arm is in front. Gather your legs with your hands. Rock up to sitting. Let's sit still for a moment or two. Come to a comfortable seated pose. I've chosen auspicious seat where the heels are lined one in front of the other. You might choose easy seat where your shin bones are crossed over. You've got your shoes and you can place them or some other prop right underneath your knees. Bring your hands to Anjali Mudra or Namaskara Mudra where your palms are touching and your thumbs are right at your heart. Let your legs relax down into the ground, but imagine or sense that your torso or that your spine just continues to grow out of the ground. Close your eyes. And you can feel how the energy that we generated through the postures and through concentrating our attention and through the breath work releases this energy through and around the body. And it feels like all the regions of your body are connected through this circulation of energy or prana, life force. And you can let this energy assimilate right toward your heart, right to where your thumbs are. And there is this kind of radiance that moves through this region, generated by your attention and by the movement of prana, life force. And it begins to soften. And any heaviness, any knots and tangles that remain are just freed by your breathing and by your attention here at the heart. Lower onto your back, everybody, Savasana, corpse pose. Let go. Let go. Thank you. Let go. Trust now that you are resonating peace. Trust now that your practice has elevated your vibrational field to the highest love. Trust now that you are connected to the universal forces and to the natural forces, and there's no separation. These are the benefits of your practice. Rub your thumbs over your fingers. Wiggle your toes a little bit. Draw in a full breath that brings your hands up over your head. Stretch your left side long. Stretch your right side long. And roll to the right side of your body and just pause there for a moment. Use your left hand to press into the earth to come upright. Your head is the last to come upright. Return to your seated pose, everyone. Return your hands to Namaskara Mudra. To seal in the benefits of the practice, let's chant the mantra Om. You recognize that all around us are vibrations, and Om is the universal vibration. And as we sound it, as we chant it, it will enhance the practice and seal in the benefits of the practice if you care to join. 3 rounds the mantra Om. Just give thanks. Let's give thanks to our families. Let's give thanks to our friends. Let's give thanks to all of our teachers and supporters. Let's give thanks to the Times Square Alliance. Let's give thanks to each other. Let's give thanks to yourself. Let's give thanks to the planet. Let's give thanks. Namaste. Thank you, everybody, for coming to practice. And have a great day. Thank you. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, Celine and Kathy, and thank you, Carla, for demonstrating. Have a great afternoon, everybody.
Please stop by the Yoga Village on Broadway between 44th and 45th Streets before you leave today. Take your hydration to the next level with new Smart Water Alkaline Now with 9.5 plus pH and added antioxidant. It's hydration for your high performance lifestyle. Elevate you and hydrate, keep it smart with Smart Water Alkaline. And spread the good karma by making a donation to Community First, an initiative where community navigators help vulnerable people in Times Square get the resources and support they need. You can donate right now by going to tsq.org and make a difference in the world today through yoga. Join the conversation using hashtag SolsticeTSQ and tag @TimesSquareNYC. The Times Square Alliance hopes to see everyone next year for the 22nd annual Solstice in Times Square Mind Over Madness Yoga.
Oh, yeah, okay. All right. Joe, I haven't. Are you going to use the voice of God? Oh, sorry. Sorry.
Normal speaking voice.
Yeah.
I was going to say, like, year
Thank
one,
you.
what was that experience
See.
like?
Thank you.
I was going to say, year one, what was that experience like? What's changed over the years? Your favorite time to teach of the day? Because I think you've taught every class slot
Okay.
that we have, and then
Okay.
Times Square being a unique experience.
Okay.
So
All
it's
right.
going to get into.
All right. Nice. Thank you. You're so welcome. Good to see you. You're welcome. My pleasure. Have a good day. Thank you.
And we're on.
Yay.
So, Mr. Douglass Stewart, welcome back to Solstice in Times Square.
Thank you, Mr. Joe.
You kicked off our morning for us. What was this experience like?
You know, I was just remarking how cold it was today. You know, usually, and I'm grateful. I mean, sometimes it's really hot, and I was just getting a little bit chilly. So the practice that I had was a little different. I had to change it around a little bit just to keep us flowing so that we keep warm. So
Yeah,
that was the foremost thing in my mind today.
this weather is certainly a blessing.
It
We'll
is,
take it. And
yes.
it's dry,
Yes,
no rain.
it's dry, yes. I'm not complaining. Trust me.
So you had a hand in creating this event. The very first year was 3 people inclusive of you. So what was that experience like and the difference between then and now?
Well, when Tim Tompkins and I started this back in 2003, I was just beginning to learn how to teach, and so now I feel like there's 21 years under my belt, and I feel less nervous.
21 years.
Yes, I feel hi Chichen. So I'm a little less nervous than when I was back then. I feel like I'm a little bit more confident. Actually, I feel like a grandfather after like 21 years. You know, I feel like I put someone through college already. So, so yeah, I feel a little bit more steady on my feet, a little bit more freer with the crowd. Thank you, and just understanding that over the years the practice of yoga is still relevant, you know, and important. That hasn't changed at all, and our need for it. So
Yeah. How does it feel knowing that you created this movement where thousands of yogis year after year for 21 years have come back to Times Square?
it's humbling, you know, it really is. And as I always say, I never really thought that it would be this kind of an event where people would appreciate it. It was just really just come out in the middle, let's breathe, let's be a community of breath, and it's humbling to see that it's continued, and that people have appreciated it and supported
Yeah.
Times Square especially, and all. Yes.
It's so wonderful to see how like yoga brings people together, especially in this space and being a unique environment. It's not your typical yoga studio.
Yeah. It's not your no, it's not your typical yoga studio. I mean, we've got all this stuff around, but it adds to it, you know. And people have said to me over the years, you know, with all of the things around in Times Square, and even Times Square has changed over the years. It's not as gritty as it was when we started a long time ago. It's kind of nice.
It's certainly improved over the years.
So, but there is the ability to reach a little bit of calm inside.
Absolutely.
That's amazing.
All right. Well, thank you for kicking off the first class of the day with
Joe.
us.
Oh yeah, my
And
pleasure.
you're sticking around with us for
I'll
the whole
be
day.
here all day.
All right, right on.
Thank you, Joe,
Thank you.
for all that you do.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Sure, thank you.
All right. Solstice in Times Square, everybody.
So next up, we need these on those two because they're going to.